A man is dragged out of a building in broad daylight, accused, exposed, labeled a criminal before a court has even seen him. Crowds are chanting. Phones are recording. Someone shouts, "He's a drug dealer." Another says, "He's illegal." And just like that, a story is born. Fast, loud, and dangerous. But here's the question nobody is slowing down to ask. Was this justice unfolding in real time, or something far more complicated? Because in a moment like this, truth can easily get buried under anger, fear, and assumptions. Before we go any further, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the deeper stories behind the headlines that everyone else rushes past. This incident reportedly took place in Durban, along Point Road, during an anti-illegal immigration demonstration. Tensions were already high. Marchers had taken to the streets, demanding action against undocumented migrants, blaming them for crime, unemployment, and economic pressure. In the middle of that charged environment, one Nigerian man was arrested. The accusation? Drug dealing. According to early reports, others in the area fled when they heard the marchers were approaching. Now pause there, because in a situation like this, context is everything. South Africa has struggled for years with waves of xenophobic tension. Foreign nationals, especially from other African countries like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, are often caught in the middle of economic frustration and political rhetoric. And Durban has seen this before. Moments where protests shift into confrontation, where suspicion quickly becomes accusation, where identity alone can put someone at risk. But here's where things get complicated. Was this a legitimate arrest based on evidence, or did the environment influence what happened? To understand that, we need to break down exactly how events unfolded. Reports suggest the demonstration began peacefully, with protesters marching through key areas known for high migrant populations. The message was clear: remove illegal immigrants, restore order. As the march moved toward Point Road, word began spreading ahead of the crowd. Shops closed early. Some people reportedly left the area entirely. Fear was already in motion before any direct confrontation. Then, at some point during the march, attention shifted to a specific individual, the Nigerian man who would later be arrested. What happened next raised serious questions. Eyewitness accounts vary. Some say community members pointed him out as a suspected drug dealer. Others claim the police were already monitoring him. And then there are those who believe the situation escalated simply because of the tension in the air, that he became a target in the moment. He was detained, arrested, taken away. But no detailed public evidence was immediately presented to support the drug dealing claim. And this is the part few people are talking about. Because in a high-pressure environment like a protest, accusations can spread faster than facts. One voice becomes many. One claim becomes accepted truth. So we have to ask, was this man already under investigation? Or did the circumstances create a suspect? Because those are two very different realities. Let's go deeper. There have been past cases in South Africa where individuals were accused during xenophobic unrest, only for details later to become unclear or disputed. At the same time, law enforcement has also confirmed that drug networks do exist, and some involve foreign nationals. So both possibilities exist. And that's what makes this story so sensitive. Because if the arrest was based on solid intelligence, then it reflects a real law enforcement action that happened to coincide with the protest. But if it was influenced, even partially by crowd pressure, fear, or bias, then it raises serious concerns about due process and fairness. But here's where things get disturbing. The narrative around the arrest didn't wait for verification. Online, the story spread quickly. Nigerian drug dealer caught. Illegal immigrant exposed. Labels were applied instantly. No court hearing. No official statement detailing evidence. Just a headline that fits into an already heated national conversation. And once a narrative like that takes hold, it's very difficult to undo. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. South Africa is facing real challenges. High unemployment, rising crime rates in certain areas, pressure on public services. These are real issues affecting real people. But when frustration builds, it often looks for a target. And historically, migrants have become that target. That doesn't automatically make every accusation false. But it also doesn't make every accusation true. And that's the balance that often gets lost. Because crime is an individual act, but xenophobia turns it into a collective judgment. So when one person is accused, an entire nationality can feel the impact. Economically, situations like this can affect small businesses run by foreign nationals. Socially, it increases fear and division in communities that already live side by side. Politically, it puts pressure on leaders to respond, sometimes with stronger immigration policies, sometimes with public statements that can either calm or inflame tensions. And once that cycle starts, it feeds itself. Public reaction to this incident has been sharply divided. Some people believe the arrest proves their concerns, that illegal immigration is tied to crime, and that action is long overdue. Others are urging caution, warning against jumping to conclusions without verified evidence, and pointing out the dangers of collective blame. On social media, the debate has been intense. Some users are celebrating the arrest. Others are asking hard questions. Where is the evidence? Was due process followed? Would the situation have been handled the same way if the suspect were not a foreign national? Even officials, in some cases, have urged restraint, reminding the public that investigations must follow legal procedures, not crowd sentiment. Because at the end of the day, the law is supposed to operate independently of public pressure. But here's the reality. In moments like this, perception can become more powerful than truth. And once people believe a story, they often stop asking questions. So what happens next? The key will be in what authorities do from here. If there is evidence, it will need to be presented in court. Charges will need to be formally laid. The case will need to go through the legal system. If the accusations are proven, then it becomes a confirmed criminal case. If not, then serious questions will need to be answered about how and why the arrest happened the way it did. Because accountability goes both ways, for the accused and for the system. And until those answers come, this story remains incomplete. Which brings us back to the original question. Was this a genuine crime uncovered at the right moment, or a situation shaped by fear, tension, and timing? The truth is, right now, we don't fully know. And that uncertainty is exactly why stories like this matter. Because they force us to look beyond the surface, beyond the headlines, and ask uncomfortable questions about justice, perception, and how quickly we decide who is guilty. Because in a world where information spreads instantly, getting it wrong can have lasting consequences. So what do you think? Was this a justified arrest, or something that needs deeper investigation? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Tell him I look because email process